Wellness Rhythm Show. Find your rhythm. Live your wellness.
Y'all, let me tell you something that happened to me recently. I woke up, and before I even opened my eyes, my heart was already racing. Not from a nightmare, not from an alarm, just boom, wide awake and already stressed. And I thought, is this just motherhood, or is something actually wrong with my body?
That feeling has a name, Emma. It is called the cortisol awakening response, and the research around it is genuinely fascinating. Here is the thing, that morning surge you described is not a glitch. It is actually a feature, but when it goes wrong, the consequences reach far beyond feeling groggy.
And that is exactly what we are digging into today. Why your first 30 minutes awake might be the most important 30 minutes for your long-term health. We are talking metabolic disease, stress hormones, and what you can actually do about it.
Right. No alarm required to find this one alarming. Let us get into it.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Because when I first heard the phrase HPA axis, I genuinely thought someone was talking about a car part.
Ha, fair. So the HPA axis is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It is essentially your body's master stress response system. The hypothalamus signals the pituitary signals the adrenal glands, and then cortisol gets released.
And cortisol is the one everybody loves to villainize.
Exactly, and that is where the nuance starts. Cortisol is not the enemy. It is a survival hormone. It mobilizes energy, sharpens focus, regulates inflammation. The problem is when the timing or the amplitude of that system goes off the rails.
So tell me about the cortisol awakening response specifically, because this is the piece I had never heard of before we started researching this episode.
Right. So the cortisol awakening response, or CAR, is a distinct spike in cortisol that happens within the first 30 to 45 minutes of waking. Research from the University of Trier in Germany, particularly work by Clemens Kirschbaum and his colleagues, has documented this really thoroughly.
How big a spike are we talking?
In a healthy pattern, cortisol rises by 50 to 100% above your baseline within about 30 minutes of waking. Then it naturally declines over the rest of the day. That peak is actually supposed to happen. It primes your immune system, your metabolism, your cognitive readiness.
So it is like your body's natural espresso shot. I love that.
Precisely. But here is where it gets clinically interesting. Studies published in journals like Psychoneuroendocrinology have shown that a blunted cortisol awakening response, one that is too flat, is associated with burnout, chronic fatigue, and immune dysregulation. And an exaggerated response is linked to anxiety disorders and cardiovascular risk.
So both extremes are problems. Too much and too little are both bad. How do you even know which camp you are in?
Honestly, that is a really important question, and I want to be careful here. You cannot self-diagnose this. Salivary cortisol testing, done through a functional medicine practitioner, is the gold standard. Companies like Dutch Test offer comprehensive hormone panels that many practitioners use.
And while we are on the subject of being careful, we should say clearly, we are not doctors. This is not medical advice. We are your informed friends talking wellness, not treatment.
Absolutely. Right, so now let's talk about why the morning cortisol pattern matters for metabolic health specifically, because this is the piece that surprised me most in the research.
Yes, this blew my mind, because I always thought metabolic disease was about diet and exercise. Full stop.
And those matter enormously. But a 2016 paper in the journal Obesity Reviews and subsequent work from researchers at Maastricht University highlighted that chronic HPA axis dysregulation, that disrupted cortisol rhythm, independently predicts insulin resistance, visceral fat accumulation, and elevated blood sugar.
So your stress hormone pattern is influencing your blood sugar, not just your mood.
Not just your mood, cortisol is glucocorticoid. Its literal job is to raise blood glucose. If that system is chronically elevated or chaotically dysregulated, your metabolic machinery takes a hit.
Here's the thing though, this feels a little overwhelming. Like, great, now I have to worry about my cortisol curve on top of everything else I am already managing.
I hear that. And this is where I think the honest friction comes in. Because I look at this data and I find it motivating. Like, there are levers here. But I also recognize not everyone is waking up with the luxury of a calm morning routine.
Thank you for saying that, because I want to push back slightly. When researchers talk about recalibrating your stress baseline, sometimes the interventions assume a certain amount of privilege, time, quiet, a partner who handles school drop-off.
That is a fair and important point. And I think the research does acknowledge that socioeconomic stress is itself a primary driver of HPA dysregulation. Work from Sheldon Cohen at Carnegie Mellon has been particularly clear on that.
So it is this feedback loop. Stress dysregulates your cortisol. Dysregulated cortisol makes you more stress reactive, and the system spirals.
Exactly. But here is the genuinely hopeful part. The interventions that show the most evidence are also the most accessible. And this brings us to practical integration.
Yes, let's go there. Because our listeners, whether you are juggling toddlers or aging parents or a career pivot, you need real things.
Right. So number 1, light exposure. Natural morning light within the first 15 to 30 minutes of waking has robust evidence behind it. Researcher Andrew Huberman at Stanford has popularized this. But the underlying circadian biology comes from decades of work on photoreceptors and the suprachiasmatic nucleus.
I have actually been doing this, 10 minutes on my back porch with a coffee, and I notice a difference in how I feel by mid-morning.
The mechanism is real. Morning light anchors your circadian rhythm, which in turn regulates the timing of your cortisol curve. It is one of the lowest cost interventions with genuine data behind it.
What else?
Gentle movement before reaching for your phone, even a 5-minute walk or some light stretching. A 2021 study in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health found that morning physical activity, even low intensity, positively modulated HPA axis reactivity across the day.
And I would add, please do not look at your email the moment you wake up. That is basically injecting synthetic stress into a system that is already primed to react.
Ha! Medically speaking, yes, that is essentially what you are doing. The research on cognitive load in the early waking window is quite clear that stimulus-heavy inputs during the CAR period amplify that cortisol spike.
And if you are enjoying this episode, by the way, please hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps us bring more of this kind of content to more people. We are trying to be the informed friend everyone deserves.
And we read your comments. So, if you have questions about this topic or any other, let us know.
Okay, David, let's address the skeptics. Because I can already hear someone saying, this sounds like morning routine influencer content with a scientific veneer.
Right, and that skepticism is healthy. The honest answer is that HPA axis research is complex. Cortisol measurement is highly variable, affected by sleep timing, seasonal changes, even what you ate the night before. It is not as clean as, say, blood pressure data.
So we are not saying this is the answer to metabolic health.
No, we are saying it is a meaningful and underappreciated piece of a larger picture. Sleep quality, nutrition, social connection, and yes, morning hormone patterns all interact. The work of Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller University on allostatic load, which is the cumulative wear on your body from chronic stress, really frames this comprehensively.
And the takeaway from McEwen's work, as I understand it, is that it is the accumulation over time that creates disease risk, not one bad week.
Correct. Which is both reassuring because one bad week does not wreck you, and sobering because chronic dysregulation compounds quietly for years before symptoms appear.
That is the part that gets me. Because a lot of our listeners in the sandwich generation, caring for kids and aging parents, are living in low-grade chronic stress for years, and maybe not even naming it as a health issue.
And that is exactly why this conversation matters. Not to alarm people, but to say, this is a real physiological process. And there are evidence-backed ways to support it that do not require an overhaul of your entire life.
Okay, so if you are walking away with one thing today, let it be this. Your first 30 minutes awake are a biological event, not just a logistical one. Get some natural light, move your body gently, and hold off on your inbox. That is your cortisol reset. Small, real, and grounded in actual science.
And if your morning rhythm feels genuinely broken, meaning persistent fatigue, brain fog, metabolic concerns, speak to a qualified practitioner about salivary cortisol testing. This is measurable. It is not just a feeling.
Y'all, thank you so much for spending this time with us. The Wellness Rhythm Show is here every week, trying to cut through the noise and give you something you can actually use. Hit that subscribe button, share this with someone in the sandwich generation who is running on fumes.
And remember, the goal is not a perfect cortisol curve. The goal is a slightly better informed morning than yesterday. Incremental, sustainable, and frankly the only kind of progress that actually sticks.
The show is part of the VoxCrea.ai system. If you want a show like this for your organization without building it yourself,
go to voxcreel.ai and request a sample episode.